right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Crane Worldwide Logistics Customer Spotlight here at Splash. My name is Ben Novak. I'm a director in the Riveron Technology Enablement Practice. And I have Michelle Ford and Katrina Celestine here with us, in addition to Tala Zamir. We're going to be walking everyone here today through a case study to learn more about how Crane leveraged OneStream for enhancing and accelerating their close process, automating a variety of reports, and streamlining their overall planning process from a budgeting and forecasting perspective. I'd like to start by introducing Michelle Ford. Michelle, would you like to give a quick introduction about yourself?
Sure. Michelle Ford, I'm the finance director at Crane Worldwide Logistics, covering the global consolidation for the company as well as accounting here in the US, and very interested in sharing our experience with you guys.
Thanks, Michelle. Katrina, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Katrina Celestine, also part of Crane Worldwide Logistics. I'm the financial reporting manager. I work specifically on the management financial reporting, and I work very extensively in OneStream. So definitely delighted to share all of the things that it's done for us.
Great, thank you both. Last but not least, Tala, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yep. I'm Tala Zamir. I'm an engagement manager in the technology enablement practice at Riveron, focusing on OneStream implementations and advisory. My role on the project was delivery lead, kind of ensuring proper design, configuration, training, and rollout of the application.
Great. All four of us were intimately familiar with this project and looking forward to sharing a lot more information about the project in the coming slides. Michelle, would you like to give a quick overview of Crane Worldwide Logistics?
Sure. So Crane Worldwide is a logistics provider. We operate in the airspace, ocean space, and logistics, freight forwarding, moving freight all over the world. When we started the OneStream project, we were almost $1 billion in revenue. We've far exceeded that this year. So definitely we've continued to grow, and we have over 1,500 employees across 150 locations. We are 30 plus countries and 60 plus OneStream users. We are part of a portfolio of companies. Crane Capital Group and the Houston Astros are among some of our sister businesses. But that's a general overview of us, multiple currencies, global operation.
Thanks, Michelle. We began and were engaged with Crane early on in the overall selection process from a Riveron perspective, and helped guide them through the overall project from cradle to grave. At Riveron, we're a unique business advisory firm specializing in accounting, finance, technology, and operations. We have a large OneStream implementation practice comprised of CPM experts who have real-world practical experience both using and administering applications, as well as obviously configuring them for clients like Crane. Offices all over the country, headquartered in Dallas, and spend a lot of time in Houston with Michelle and Katrina on this particular implementation, and helping them to solve a variety of their pain points and challenges that they were facing prior to implementing OneStream. Michelle, would you like to perhaps talk through a few of those challenges and what the lay of the land looked like prior to kicking off this particular project?
Sure. So when I came into Crane, we had multiple instances of our general ledger system. The chart of accounts had not been controlled such that it was disparate, not standardized. We were doing a global consolidation in Excel, basically running reports out of an Insight software reporting solution that we had, manually linking up the currency rates in order to do the translation and rolling everything up in a couple of Excel spreadsheets that were very much subject to error, as you could imagine. Also, our cash flow statement was not automated. So again, linking up to multiple spreadsheets, linking up those FX rates, and trying to produce that each month. Not only time consuming, but subject to error. We also, with our budget process, were compiling multiple Excel spreadsheets and had issues with data integrity there.
And we see these as all very, very common challenges that organizations face as they're looking to implement a CPM tool, and felt that, you know, OneStream was a really solid fit for the Crane organization. Michelle, do you talk through a little bit about the overall selection process? I know you evaluated a couple different solutions, and how did you ultimately settle on OneStream?
Sure, yeah. We looked at 3 solutions, Oracle, FCCS. We looked at, it was Host Analytics at the time, now it's Planful, and then we also looked at OneStream. In evaluating these platforms, we felt like OneStream offered the best platform. It was a uniform platform. It, you know, one database, one place to store all your information, both from a planning perspective as well as actuals. The workflow was very intuitive. It covered both of our financial close process as well as our FP&A function, and also offered, with the marketplace, offered additional value-added solutions that we could add on and extend without an additional investment. So that was very appealing to us from a cost standpoint. We also went with the cloud with that solution, and we've been very happy with it. It allows the upgrades to go very smoothly, and, you know, little involvement from our IT department. So it just, those things for us sold us on OneStream, and thought it was the best out of the 3 we evaluated.
Great. Looks like we've come to our first question from a CEU perspective. Question 1 being, how is OneStream unique relative to other CPM tools such as Oracle, FCCS, and Planful, both solutions that Michelle and team evaluated as part of this selection process? The 3 answers available are OneStream has various products that require extensive integration. B, OneStream only offers cloud hosting solutions. Or C, OneStream offers a unified platform for robust consolidations and has an intuitive workflow designed to support a variety of reporting, planning, and reconciliation needs. Please go ahead and select your answer. So the correct answer is C. It is, you know, OneStream is very much unique in terms of offering that unified platform, as Michelle alluded to earlier. And although it has a robust consolidation engine, it is very flexible and nimble to support not only financial consolidations, but financial planning, balance sheet reconciliations, and a variety of other needs. B, why is B not correct? OneStream offers on-prem and cloud-hosted options, while some of these other solutions have a single hosted solution. And OneStream is because it is a single unified platform, does not require a variety of products or solutions to be extensively integrated into it. With its single unified platform, all of that is taken care of as part of the initial architecture of the application. So the overall implementation, I'd like to turn it over to Tala to talk through about our approach from a Riveron perspective around design and how we ultimately phased this implementation to support the different functionality Crane required.
Yeah, absolutely. I think flexibility is kind of the common theme we're going to hear a lot now. So early on in the project, it was established that Crane required an application which was obviously flexible, but also dynamic to support various reporting needs, both from external and management perspective. Coming off of primarily Excel-based consolidation and emails that are kind of used for close tracking, OneStream needed to provide users with an intuitive workflow to complete monthly tasks. So, for example, loading their trial balance, posting journals, signing off on reports. So ultimately, all that would provide an audit trail in OneStream and push the accountability back on the individual studies and the legal end. There was a lot of room for close efficiency, and on the budgeting cycle, OneStream create a decentralized budgeting process for corporate to no longer compile Excel files and consolidate data manually. So as part of design, we decided that the implementation would be split into two phases. The first ensured that Crane's close and consolidation reporting would be conducted in OneStream for the entire organization, including all local and 30 plus international entities. The second phase was to implement a process for each of Crane's, I believe, over 50 branches to be able to load in a budget in OneStream. Furthermore, there would be a standard template for budget submission across the company. Obviously, that included some drivers and calculations along with data input, and we'll talk more about that later as well. Along the way, there was some key functionality implemented that elevated Crane to be better suited for future and continued growth. So, number one, in terms of loading their trial balance, there was a direct connect that was established to load data directly from individual instances of Sage, their ERP, at scheduled times, as well as on demand. Secondly, reporting was highly optimized by leveraging local entity and consolidated cash flow capability within OneStream, as well as leveraging the partial service, a marketplace solution to be able to create and distribute hundreds of reports in a matter of minutes. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Lastly, with OneStream being cloud, there was less administrative burden on IT to manage the application, and the training, UAT, and the rollout of the application across the world would happen in a streamlined fashion. So, like Ben said, the entire implementation took less than 9 months to complete. There was a good amount of time for data validation, mapping of each legal entity, but overall, all the go-live timelines were met as planned.
Thanks, Tala. So Michelle, Tala had alluded to some of our solutions around data integration and getting data from Sage into OneStream. Talk a little bit about how ultimately it was set up and the mappings that were required for each of the various legal entities.
Sure. So the first the first requirement we had was to have a direct integration with Sage. We had that with our insight reporting, and that was just very important for us to not go backwards and to have that with OneStream as well. So Riveron actually worked with our IT department as well as resources at OneStream to get that integration set up. Again, it works automated at a certain time every day, but then the controllers can push it manually as well. When we went in to map each of our entities, we looked at could we do one mapping or did we need to do the unique mapping for each? Due to our disparate chart of accounts where we hadn't established really strong controls at the very beginning, we determined it was best to go ahead and map those individually. And so we took each entity and set up the mappings from the Sage chart of accounts into the OneStream chart of accounts. With each of our entities that close out, we also set up a standardized workflow for each of those site controllers so that we have visibility here on monitoring how they're progressing through their workflow steps, which is very helpful in knowing who has completed, how far along they are in closing out each month.
Yeah, absolutely. Data integration and the data of the application is obviously integral to the use of the application, and getting data in a more efficient, automated fashion was a big focus for us. With you guys operating globally, there is in the variety of legal entities that you have, there are other complexities around currency and intercompany as part of the consolidation process. And talk us through a little bit about the benefits and the benefits you realize is implementing OneStream to support currency translation intercompany specifically.
Sure. Yes, as we mentioned previously, 28 plus currencies that we need to translate data. So with the Excel process, again, that was manually linked up, subject to error. But with OneStream, we're able to load that in and the system does it for us. Also, another trouble point we had was our intercompany reconciliation. With the Excel-based process, we didn't have a matching process where we knew when the intercompany, first of all, the intercompany balances never balance completely. They're not perfect. And it was just a big black hole previously. We had no way to drill down efficiently and try to figure out who was off. With OneStream, intercompany process shows the matching at the partner level detail. In the screenshot there, you can see an example. So we have complete visibility and drill down capabilities to see where those differences are coming from during close. And we can also go back to the partners that are part of that matching if there's a difference, and have them investigate and get things cleared up before we actually close out the month. So significant improvement and visibility over what we previously had.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you talk through and as you work your way through the close process and controllers are notifying you that the various entities are closed, we've set up a variety of confirmation rules and certification questions to help facilitate some validations and checks. Do you want to talk through a few of these real quick?
Sure, yeah. One of the important items to us was to have some checks and balances as the controllers were closing out their months. So we came up with 15 confirmation rules that we put in the workflow process. Make sure that the balance sheet is in balance, that for the intercompany, we have a form that was set up to reclass the balances by partner. So there's a check to make sure that that has been completed, and that certain payable accounts are less than zero, another check that we put in the process. So also the users have to certify, they have a question at the end of the process that they certify that all the data is complete and that they have uploaded a final trial balance. That was one of the issues we came across early on, was that with the automated process, sometimes the controllers wouldn't go in and make sure they had loaded that final one. And once they certify and lock, it would no longer automatically load in. So we were able to easily add a certification question there at the end of the process that has them specifically click, yes, they've loaded a final trial balance.
So just another example of leveraging workflow capabilities within the application to guide the user through the process and then notify corporate that the close process is complete for each particular entity. From a reporting perspective, a lot of reporting capabilities out of OneStream, and you had alluded to earlier I guess progression along the maturity curve of cash flow reporting. Talks a little bit about what was set up within OneStream and specifically the benefits that you realized as leveraging this capability within the tool.
Yeah, the cash flow automation is one of my favorite pieces. It's reduced a good 2 days, maybe even more, off of our process that we would spend on putting it together. The first item, so roll forwards were put into OneStream as part of the workflows. Previously, those were done in Excel. It was difficult getting the countries to send them in, complete them properly, those types of issues with manual Excel base. So having them be part of the workflow process, they have checks and balances on them as well, so we can easily see when someone hasn't completed one, or if it's off, there'll be red flags that happen in the checks. So the roll forwards were set up to automatically feed into the cash flow. Of course, the cash flow is set up by entity, so we now have a cash flow produced at the entity level, whereas before we didn't have that visibility. The data also is translated. The system translates the local currency on the cash flow and rolls it all up into our US dollar based cash flow. So has helped us on the audit as well with satisfying the auditors that we do a cash flow in local and then translate into US dollars. We also have a form at the high level for the cash flow where we can make any reclasses that need to be made on certain things that can't be totally automated in the cash flow. So it's just been a lifesaver. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, that's great to hear. You know, one marketplace solution that we identified throughout the design phase that we believe Crane would be able to take full advantage of is parcel service. Tala, talk to us a little bit about what we ultimately configured as supporting the various reporting requirements from an automated distribution perspective for Crane.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the folks that haven't heard of or used parcel service application, I think it's just good to cover kind of the basic use and functionality. So parcel service allows for mass automated distribution of reports utilizing OneStream Q views and books. It allows administrators, reporting managers, or really anyone to share reports via email or file share without having to continuously maintain, update, and manually send files. So similarly, at Crane, parcel service eliminated the need for various consolidation workbooks, linked spreadsheets, and Excel files. We automated about 400 plus individual reports and 150 plus location or branch specific reports. Many of these Excel files had tabs upward of 20. This was all possible via loop parameters and the UD dimensions and the text properties that are already set up in the application. So we were leveraging them in parcel service. I'm positive we saved a lot of time and effort not having to create and maintain those previous Excel-based reports. Overall, parcel service continues to be a valuable aspect of the application for Crane, and one that is significantly utilized for monthly, quarterly, and annual reporting.
Yeah, absolutely. And Katrina, having spent a number of probably months and years now in the application, helping with building out reports and maintaining the application. Talk to us a little bit about the workflow reporting capabilities that have been set up in the application and also what you've kind of expanded on since the product has gone live.
Absolutely. Yes, so the site controllers are able to have a uniform workflow profile throughout all of our countries. So they have capabilities of, like what's touched on, loading trial balances, completing forms, completing roll forwards, if there are any journal entries that they need to book at the local level. And then all of this data rolls up into their cube views. Those cube views are essentially the reports for their countries. So they have a balance sheet, they have a cash flow statement, they have various views of their P&L in both statutory reporting and in management reporting, because those are two different reporting forms that we have for P&L at Crane. They also can look at their head count. They also have a trial balance view if they need to investigate something. And all of these views are able to be run in local currency as well as USD, depending on what they're needing to look at and investigate. Not to mention, these views have drill down function, which I myself use probably on a daily basis when we're going through close or when we're investigating something. So I know that they use it as well. That drill down function takes them back to the accounts and the transactions that are coming through from the trial balance, which is very helpful. So we are very pleased with the reporting functionality that they have. And certainly along the way, we have added various cube views or enhanced cube views that existed. We've added fixed and variable views. We have taken summary level views and added details to them so that there's more of a drill down view in the P&L. So we've been very pleased with this.
Great, thanks. Well, we've come to our second question, specifically around which marketplace solution did Crane Worldwide Logistics leverage to distribute 400 plus reports with the press of a button. OneStream has a number of marketplace solutions. I have three options here: task manager, parcel service, and guided reporting. The correct answer is B, parcel service. As Tala and Katrina both mentioned, it's a easily integrated marketplace solution that through the use of report books can distribute and loop parameters and variables and those types of things, can produce hundreds and hundreds of books at the press of a button. In Crane's case, maintaining one set of report templates and looping through and replacing each one of those variables with a specific location or a specific entity or a specific department allows them to exponentially produce a lot of reports in a very automated fashion that we identified through the design process that parcel service would be a great solution for them. And we're seeing a lot of our clients leverage that marketplace solution for these same types of use cases in other implementations. So as Tala mentioned, there were two phases of this implementation. The first phase being consolidated reporting. The second phase was enhancing and streamlining the overall budget process for Crane. Katrina, you mind talking us through the prior state or the previous state before we began this particular phase and some of the pain points that Crane was experiencing in the budgeting process?
Sure. So I actually came on to Crane at the tail end of the budgeting process that was previously in place and right in the middle of implementation of OneStream. I'm incredibly thankful that OneStream implementation was in process because this was one of the main things that was improved upon. So what was taking place is all of the sites across the globe were sending in Excel spreadsheets to corporate, and corporate was integrating those together to compile a consolidated budget. And of course, currency issues were in that. So one of the things that was taking place when I actually started handling that budget process, we were in the wrap-up phase, was there was a version control issues, which you can imagine with multiple versions of the spreadsheets coming in from various different sites all into one place. There was a bottleneck as well as serious version control issues. So those were just a few of the challenges that took place, and obviously was a significant amount of time taken on these.
Yeah, and so with the introduction of OneStream and the overall workflow process, Katrina, talk us through kind of the new process and the new tools and templates and workflows that are being leveraged for the budget process.
Absolutely. So with OneStream, we were able to push the responsibility of loading the individual budgets by country, by station into the platform that was set up. It also allowed us to have budgets by two different departments. That was not something that was available previously with the manual process. So although we had actuals broken out by multiple department dimensions, we were not able to do the budget. So with the implementation of the budgeting process in OneStream, we were able to leverage off of that. We were able to have version control because the site controllers were responsible for loading those. They were able to utilize the tool to keep control of their own stations and progress and They were able to see in local currency as well as USD because OneStream was able to translate between the two currencies, just like on the actual side.
And what about the visibility that you, from a corporate perspective, being able to see, the status of any particular entity or input, and also kind of the audit tracking capabilities of versions or revisions that were loaded?
Absolutely. We were able to establish a timeline. It was a realistic timeline for them loading their budgets into OneStream, then going through their review at their local site. And then there was a region level review before it even came to corporate. And we were able to maintain that timeline because of the efficiencies that we gained through this OneStream platform.
Wonderful. And, obviously typically during a budget process or even halfway through the year, right, you want to look at different versions of a plan, make assumption changes, those types of things. I know we worked on this earlier this year, but talk to us a little bit about the versioning capabilities and those types of things within the application.
That's correct. In the year that we implemented it, which was just 2 years ago, we did our first budget in OneStream, and we actually had the capabilities of doing multiple versions, but we didn't ever need it. We went through the entire year and we only worked off of version 1. However, this year, several months ago, we came across the need to have a version 2 for the 2021 budget. So we actually were able to create that. With the help of Riveron, we were able to do a data management job in order to keep the stations and countries that didn't need any adjustments, because this was not a global version change. It was only needed for specific entities. So we were able to get those loaded into the new version, pull over the data from existing that weren't going to change. And now we have 2 views, and we are able to change the view on those with our Q views, with our report books. If we want to update reports that we have, we can go between version 1 and 2 very seamlessly. In a matter of minutes, we can change the views on all of our report books, Q views that are in the workflows for our countries or our corporate level review, just with the click of a button. Very seamless.
Yeah, great to hear. And you alluded to the various reporting capabilities. Some of your, what types of reports are you particularly leveraging as you and the various country specific controllers or accounting or finance managers reports are available for you guys to review the plan and the forecast and those types of things?
Yes, I was hitting on that earlier. So our countries, as they're going through their process, like I mentioned, they do a station and country level review, and then they do a region review. So they are able, within their country specific workflows in the budget platform, have a 24-month view, a CapEx view, year over year, quarter over quarter view by station and by country. And then the region controllers actually can see their entire region as well in these different views. So this has aided a lot in their very timely turnaround of being able to do their reviews, make tweaks that they need before it gets approved at the region level to come to the corporate level review. It has been very efficient.
And speaking of that corporate level review, both from a data set perspective as well as alluding to earlier, the status of each workflow and those types of things. Anything here that you would think would be worth noting or discussing?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like on our actual side, when we're closing a month, we were able to monitor who's has their budgets loaded, who has finalized and signed off, depending on the status. We're able to see that all in one view in the workflow at the corporate level. And as well as we have our own corporate level Q views that allow us to look at different key analytics that management has determined that they want to see at the level. And if we need to implement changes, those can be implemented very efficiently through reloading, making revisions, and then rolling back up within a matter of minutes and seeing that new key analytic in a cube view. We've got the 24-month that can be broken down into station, region, consolidated. These all can be done depending on the view that we're looking at in local currency, or if we're looking at consolidated in the US dollars. And then going back to partial service, we are very grateful for the implementation of that tool. It is also leveraged here when we need to roll out all of the report books on a budget basis. We have those same books that have been created on the budget side, both at the station level, region level, and then the corporate level. And with the click of a button, we're able to produce those reports in whatever version that we designate to go out. And that's been huge in gaining efficiency in this process.
Wonderful. So, there were 2 phases of this implementation, as I mentioned earlier, consolidated reporting and budgeting and forecasting. Those phases were completed a couple years ago, and you guys have been in the application for a couple years now, and curious to hear about your perspectives of a post go live OneStream experience and how you are enhancing the application today, and other ideas and how you might be able to leverage functionality within the application in the future.
Sure. So like we talked about, the application is administered by the corporate finance team. Most of that happens with myself and Michelle. I was a bit intimidated when OneStream, when I first got introduced to OneStream and we talked about maintaining the tool, because I have no IT background, and I was concerned at my ability to maintain it, to be able to make enhancements when we need them. But I will say that I have learned a ton in the last 2 years. I have been able to navigate the system. Every once in a while, I run into a challenge that requires me reaching out to one of the 2 of you. But for the most part, it is user-friendly. It is intuitive, just like it was claimed to be. And we've been able to create cube views, leveraging off of what we have. We've been able to make tweaks in station roll-ups and views that we have. We are able to seamlessly add stations. We've added entities. We have made enhancements to the views that we have in our P&L. Adding users is seamless. We've also been able to have very minimal learning curve when we do have new users. I don't even have to train them. They're trained by their counterparts, because it really is a user-friendly tool. And we are always thinking about other ways that we can leverage OneStream. We have talked about enhanced variance reporting for some time, and absolutely plan to implement that into our system so that we can have variance analysis and commentary directly in the workflows. That will be easier for our site controllers, and certainly for the visibility on the corporate side. We've talked about account reconciliation and transaction matching, and we've also talked about using the close task manager. Thankfully, our closes are so much smoother and so much more efficient with the implementation of OneStream that we just haven't taken that next step. But those are all things that are constantly in the back of our mind, how we can continue to use the tool and enhance it.
Wonderful. Great to hear that. Still very much a happy and content customer on the OneStream side, and we appreciate your partnership from a Riveron perspective as well. Just in closing, one final question before we wrap, from a CEU perspective. Question 3 being, which department typically manages and administers the OneStream application on a day-to-day basis? A, corporate finance, accounting, B, IT, or C, operations? And the correct answer is A. As Katrina alluded to, her background and Michelle's background are both in the finance and accounting space, not in the IT space. And so this is a very friendly application to administer for folks that are not overly technical from an IT or a systems perspective. And that's one thing that from a Riveron perspective, we also try and design an application that's easily administered. So, it's a big selling point for OneStream as well, and a big differentiator as well. So in closing, thank you all for attending. Our contact information, whether you'd like to reach out to Michelle or Katrina at Crane, or myself or Tala at Riveron, our email addresses are here. We will stop this recording here and turn it back over to a Q&A. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.